Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dubden Dorshi. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of Homa today, the seventh Vajra holder, Vajrasattva. Suno, Tansan Gatso, Tutan Siddhi, Tutan Kama. All Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma teaching assistants, and temple and center directors, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do?
I stayed. Shangle. Hola, amigo. ¿Qué quieren mucho? Sugoi. Ichiba. Shimaji. Jumi. Yabi. Pretty. Konnichiwa.
I would like to announce for next Sunday, February 8th at 3 p.m. there would be Usnisha Vijaya Homa fire offering ceremony. Her mudra, the thumb, is holding the index fingers and the other fingers upright, joined together. Mantra.
Om Amida Aila Tate Soha.
So Usnisha Vijaya or Namgyalma has three faces. One is the face of Usnisha herself, and the other face representing power, representing compassion and wisdom. So the union of three. That's Usnisha Vijaya. So the Vijaya temple is Usnisha Vijaya. Next Sunday, February 8th. Today's this is a very important deity in Tantric Buddhism because in Tantric lineage, there are Vajradhara, or the Venerable Vajra holder. That's the first Vajra holder. And then the five Dhyanis Buddha, there are five Vajra holders. At the center, Vairocana Buddha. At the east, Akshobhya Buddha. To the west, Amitabha Buddha. To the south, Ratnasambhava Buddha. To the north, Amoghasiddhi Buddha. So the five Dhyani Buddhas are the five Vajra holders. So there are a total of 6 Vajra holders. And the most important representative of the 5 Vajra holders is the Vajrasattva. That's the 7th Vajra holder in the Vajrayana. So Nagarjuna Bodhisattva opened the iron gate in South India and met Vajrasattva, and Vajrasattva transmitted the Vajradhatu and Garbhadhatu Dharma to Nagarjuna Bodhisattva. So Nagarjuna Bodhisattva started a Tantric Buddhism. So Tantric Buddhism started with Nagarjuna Bodhisattva, who received Tantric Buddhist lineage from Vajrasattva. Therefore, Vajrasattva is the patriarch of Tantric Buddhism. And Nagarjuna is the patriarch of Tibetan Buddhism, of Tantric Buddhism, who received the transmission of Garbhadhatu and Vajradhatu from Vajrasattva. So Nagarjuna became the patriarch in the human world, the human patriarch. We practice Tantrayana, yet we have the least primary supplicants today. So you don't know Vajrasattva. Every time you do a Dhamma practice, you have to chant the 100-syllable mantra. That's the long mantra of Vajrasattva. So in your Dhamma practice, if you have even the slightest error or flaws or missing anything, then it could be fixed or repaired by chanting the 100-syllable mantra. So we must recite 100-syllable mantra 3 times at the end, and primarily to repair anything missing or any mistakes or errors made during a practice. So this is such a marvelous deity. How come the primary supplicants are so few? Only about 100, and we have so many Buddha school disciples. So not many people know him, know his importance. Vajrasattva is a very important 7th Vajra holder in Tantric Buddhism. And yet you are a Tantric Buddhist practitioner and you don't know who is the most important patriarchs, from Vajradhara to 5 Dhyani Buddhas to Vajrasattva and then to the human masters. That's how it is. Vajradhara or Dorje Chang. What can I do? It doesn't matter how I teach. It's still the same. Because everybody's just thinking about Om Beta Sato A baking. You have to chant it. It has to be stronger. Not home, but home. Home. Because if you say home be, it would become like baking or like pizza. Cookies, you bake, pastries, bread. Master Dutantarji had the photo with one hand holding a Vajra scepter in the wrathful mudra at the center, and the other hand is holding a Vajra bell. It's on the left and holding it like this. This is the way of holding it. Seated on the Dharma throne and a tanka behind him. seated on a high
就是金
throne.
刚持尊者。
So he represented Vajradhara or Dorje
每一个
Chang
上师
or the
都
Vajra
是金刚
holder.
持。
Every master is a Vajra holder.
哦，那只是像那个金刚总持，就是最大的。
Vajradhara or
阿达
Dorje
尔玛佛金刚
Chang
总持，
is the highest and the greatest. And then underneath him
那就
are
是
the five Dhyani
6个金
Buddhas,
刚持。
who are the
金
five
刚萨埵
Vajra
第七金
holders.
刚持，
So that's a total of 6. So Vajrasattva is the 7th Vajra
再
holder.
来就是有血的，
And they're all intangible. And
就是
then
上师。
the tangible ones are the 8th Vajra holder.
密
And
教的
all
长
the Vajra masters are the 8th Vajra
长生祖
holders.
师爷
That's tantric lineage.
足齐了100个，
And yet the primary supplicants were only 100.
几个人
And I have so many disciples. That's so
可
strange.
能
Not many people
全世界经济都很差。
wanted to be their primary supplicants. So maybe the economy is that bad. 这个金刚总持呢，也就是原始佛了， Vajradhara is also the primordial Buddha,
阿达
Adharma,
尔玛佛，
Adharma Buddha.
它好多名称，
Many
普
names,
贤王如
such as Samantabhadra,
不是
Tathagata,
普贤如来，
not
不是普贤菩萨，
not Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, but Samantabhadra Tathagata
金刚总
is Adharma Buddha,
就是
is
多界
Vajradhara, is Dorje Chang, and they are the primordial Buddha. He is, with different names, he is the primordial Buddha.
我这里写说，龙树菩萨在
I
南
wrote
宗
here, Nagarjuna Bodhisattva in South India opened the iron gate and met Vajrasattva and received the Dharma transmission of the Garbhadhatu and Vajradhatu from Vajrasattva.
印教才开始
And
传
that's
播，
how Tantric Buddhism started. And that's how we have the
是
Tantric
密教的
lineage.
教主。
Therefore, Vajrasattva is the founder of Tantric Buddhism.
金刚本身代表不坏，
Vajra represents indestructibility, emptiness,
代表菩
and
萨。
Sattva represents Bodhisattva.
金
So
刚
Vajrasattva is Vajra
我
Bodhisattva.
们常常谈到金刚萨埵，
We often talk about
就代表慈
Vajrasattva,
悲的。
who represents
金刚手
compassion,
菩萨
and
代表方
Vajrapani
便，
represents
金
skillful
刚心菩
means.
萨
Vajraheart Bodhisattva represents the
生
uh, the mind or the Dharma dogma.
我们常常那个五大，常常修这个五大金刚法。
In practicing the 5 great Haruka practices,
古佛化身为五大金刚，
who are the manifestations of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, and the 8 great Bodhisattvas manifested the 8 Vidyarajas or
五
wisdom
大金刚
kings.
它的种子是就是吽字，
And for the 5 great Harukas, they are all manifestation of Vajrasattva, and their 6 syllables are all home. They are related to Vajrasattva. 所以密教常常用一根树。 So therefore, in Tantric Buddhism, we often use a tree
它的根源
to represent
树干
the tree, the root of the tree represents the origin, the trunk, and the branches, and then the leaves. That's how you divide leaves, 3 branches, 3 trunk, and the tree. So Tantric Buddhism is a kind of lineage. This is the Q&A from Malaysia, 莲花贤所. On May 4th, 2024, Grandmaster Living Buddha Lien Seng, during the group practice of Padmakumara Yidam, taught the greatest support in spiritual cultivation for attaining Buddhahood comes from sentient beings. The greatest dedication is not for oneself, but for sentient beings. For others, working for sentient beings rather than oneself is the greatest support. And his question is, why must one rely on the support of sentient beings in order to attain Buddhahood? Can one just rely on one's own effort to liberate oneself and others to attain Buddhahood? When practicing Statapatra, the great white parasol, Buddha Mother, if one needs to visualize protection over multiple residences, for example, where the disciple and family members live separately in Singapore, Malaysia, or China, is it acceptable to visualize the same single parasol remain unmoving while successively changing the houses beneath it to represent each residence? I find it easier to visualize than visualizing a separate parasol for each residence. That's for protection. Between sentient beings and oneself, according to the Surangama Sutra, there is no self and there are no sentient beings. According what Sakyamuni Buddha says in the Surangama Sutra, but you should still follow causes and conditions. Later on, Sakyamuni Buddha also says, causes and conditions also arise and cease, so they are also illusory. When self and sentient beings are non-existent, what kind of spiritual cultivation is being done? None. I personally feel one more point. Why do you need to rely on sentient beings? What I meant then was, because living in this world, in this real world, sentient beings are our benefactors actually. Therefore, we should dedicate merit to sentient beings. I remember there was a master who says, who said,
出家的人是自己人。我当时我跟他讲，
who says that
出家的人是自己的人。
this ordained Sangha is his family. But not only that, but the lay practitioner is also our family.
所有的众生
To expand it, all sentient beings are family.
众生不只是人而已。
And sentient beings do not include just humans. They include all living beings. As long as they're sentient,
都是自己的。
they're all family.
我们每一天生活，
We live every day. We cannot separate ourselves from other sentient
是
beings.
众生的。
What you eat come from sentient beings.
穿的衣服，
What you
众
wear
生的。
comes from sentient beings.
你住的房子是众生的。
Your residences are also from sentient beings.
是众生做出来的。
Your transport are made by sentient beings, like the cars.
全部都是众生的。
They're all sentient beings. They cannot
都是自己的。
be exclusive of sentient beings. They're all our
包
own
括所有
people.
的生物。
Not just people, actually, but all living beings.
你不要以为啊，猪啊、羊啊、牛啊，
Don't think that the pigs and cows and sheep are
众生
animals,
是变的。
but they're all transformed
鸡啊
from
鸭
sentient beings.
鱼啊
Chicken, ducks,
海里
fish,
游的，空中飞的，
everything swimming in the ocean, flying in the sky, crawling on the ground, they're all sentient beings.
你以为不是？那不是人变的。
You think they're not
连蚂蚁，
transformed from humans? Even the ants.
因为你慈悲众生，
Because you're compassionate towards sentient beings, then you have merit. Only by being compassionate toward beings, you have
你功德
merits.
如何生出来？
Without compassion towards sentient beings, how can you generate merits? In the future, when you open your heart mind, like Sakyamuni Buddha, who opened his own
打
heart
开自己
mind,
的心，还是要依靠众生的力量。
to open your own heart mind, you still have to rely on the power of sentient beings. All merits come from
并
sentient
不是你
beings.
个人的力量，你就可以活。
So you can't live just by your own power. You can live by relying on other beings.
你自己的父母，
Your
你要
parents,
懂得报恩啊！
you need to repay their generosity.
你自己的亲人，你要懂得报恩。
Your own loved ones, you need to repay their generosity.
所有的众生都是恩人啊，
So all sentient beings are our
懂得报
benefactors.
恩啊！
And we have to remember that
你
and
慈悲
repay
的
their
众生，
kindness.
就是慈悲你自己。
So by being compassionate towards sentient beings, you're compassionate toward yourself. Only then you can open your own heart mind. Only then you can accumulate merits.
这个是比较简单的道理。
So this is a simple principle.
修行成佛最大的
That's
助
what
力
we-
来自于众生。
So the
最伟大
greatest
回向
support
是为了
in spiritual cultivation for attaining Buddhahood comes from sentient beings. The greatest dedication is not for oneself, but for sentient beings. And you are one of the
你为
sentient
众
beings.
生，不为自己，就是最大的助力。而当
If you are for sentient beings and not for yourself, that would be the greatest support. That's what I meant when I said that, because only when you do it for the sake of sentient beings, you generate merits.
是给众生
Loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. Loving kindness is to give sentient beings happiness. Compassion is to alleviate sentient beings' sufferings. Joy
真正的去做，
is to do them with joy. with true joy and equanimity, you can even forsake your own time and life as an offering to sentient beings. That's equanimity. But if you don't have these four immeasurables, the loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity, how can you have any attainment? If you have none of those, it would be impossible for you to have attainment. If you have such a narrow heart and mind, only for yourself and not for sentient beings, that's a self-interest, then how can you have attainment? Look at the four immeasurables. Loving kindness, to give happiness to sentient beings. Compassion, to alleviate the suffering of sentient beings. Joy, to continually do those every day. Equanimity, you forsake your own time and life for sentient beings. That's equanimity. And you say you just cultivate for yourself. That's the lesser vehicle, or the Hinayana. You go deep into the mountain, you don't deliver sentient beings, and you don't provide much help to other sentient beings. And you just sit alone deep in the mountains. As spoken in the Vimalakirti Sutra, Sariputra was just like that. So the great master Vimalakirti told Sariputra, your action, you're doing it this way, has no benefit to sentient beings. So this is very easy to answer. Because by making merit dedication to sentient beings, you would generate merit, and you don't ask for anything in return. And you're just for sentient beings, not for yourself. In Taoism, it's called hidden deeds. So you perform good deeds without letting it known. That would generate the greatest merit. And you need to gather 3,000 hidden merits as such before enlisted in the list of the sages, the list of the sages. Therefore, that's the greatest support from sentient beings. That's the principle. About the Siddhartha practice, he has many houses for the parents, siblings, himself, and his family, his relatives, and to cover with one huge parasol. And he said that it's easier to collect them all under one parasol rather than doing it one by one. What do you think? I've never thought about it. Every time before sleep at night, I would perform two kinds of protection. The first one, the external one, red light. The inner protection is white light. So I do two protections. The first protection, red light from the A syllable, radiating red light, and then to empower it with Om Ahom until the light is bright and strong, to cover the whole South Mountain Retreat residence in all directions. That's the first protection of light. The second, in my own room, I use the 9-syllable mantra and the 6 Jia divine mantra combined to make a white net to cover my own bedroom. So I have 2 layers of protection. Recently, very strange, I love to sleep. I sleep seated on the Dharma throne or in whatever you do. Only when I give Dharma teaching, I don't sleep. I can give Dharma teaching when I should, but in entering Samadhi, I enter sleep. I just find that strange. Seated on the Dharma throne without doing anything. After saying enter Samadhi, I would enter sleep. And they said that I almost drool. Did I snore? Did I? No. No. If I snore too, some people said when they count to 4, I fell asleep already. I sleep really easily. I normally do protections, my own. Then it became a white net to cover myself. Those are the Taoist 6 Jia divine mantra and the 9-syllable mantra. So I perform 2 layers of protection every night. So I only visualize the South Mountain Retreat from the front door to the back door, left to the right, covered by red light, a round red light covering it as the first layer of protection, using 6-syllable that's emitted from the throat chakra. The throat chakra emits the red light. But his question is, the Siddhartha Dharma practice with Hom Mama Hom Ni Soha, and you visualize the great white parasol which covers his own home and parents' home and family members live separately in Singapore, Malaysia, and China. So the house in China, in Malaysia, in Singapore, under one parasol. The question, is that okay?
可以啊。
Yeah.
我从来没有试过。
I've never tried it myself to do that to the Taiwan house and American house,
因为
or houses in Taiwan, houses in America.
有2个小套房。
I have 2 small penthouses in Taiwan.
2个中型的套房，是国际音乐厅。
And the medium
国际音
size
乐厅是中型的。
apartments
另外呢，
in the
菩
International
萨顶，
Music Hall
另外还有2个套房。
and Bodhisattva Peak.
我是付了管理费4个套。
So I have 4 places and I paid the management fees.
在那个
And 师母
大研鱼社有2个
has 2
2个房子，
penthouses
全部观赏进。
in that 大园精舍.
我太
Then should we
我观赏
visualize all of them? That would be too
要
complicated.
大半场那个一盖，就把那个
Just covering,
盖住了。
if I use the white parasol to cover,
我再走进去，
then it would cover the whole buildings. So
如果能够做也好。
they don't need to do it anymore. I'll just do it. But it's okay if you can do it.
那个大
But
楼
sometimes
在脑海里面了，
you can't visualize it.
不住了。
You don't always remember
现
them.
在住的地方哦，现在住的地方
Because my residence
大
now
公寓就是小公寓啊，
are just like
这
apartments,
个single house
smaller or bigger
都不是
apartments.
single house
In Taiwan, we don't have single house.
中间一间而已，
We just have this one
这样很难观想。
apartment within a big building, so that's difficult to visualize.
他说可一起观想，我要问一下，因为我没有做过这种观
I
想。
don't know. Let me
等一
consult.
下，你观想得来，可以。
If you can visualize them, it's
如
fine.
果观想得来，他说可以；观想不来，
If you
就算
can do it, then go ahead.
我这回答他的问题。好
That's the answer to
菩
his
萨都
question.
可以。
So the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas says that.
Now, 现在阿难尊者又要问了，
Now
来
Ananda,
了。
the Venerable, is going to ask questions again.
即使阿难在大众中
At that moment, Ananda rose from amid the assembly,
起立
bowed at the
白衣
Buddha's
佛
feet, rose and addressed the Buddha.
现说
Lord Honored One,
杀盗淫业，
you have just thought that by severing the conditions of killing, stealing, and
那
lust,
么
the 3 causes no longer arise.
这城里面的那个达多就在讲那个问题。达多就是说，有一个人，他的名字就叫达多。
That
但是
person,
呢，突
Yanatato
然间看到镜子，
Vipata,
他的头在镜子里面，以为自己已经
suddenly
没有头
looked
了
into a mirror and saw his head in the mirror and thought he had lost his head.
心中
And then he
达多
went mad.
狂性自削，
So the mad nature of Janadatta in the mind ceases of itself.
这个人呢，本身
So if this person
三因不生，没有因
has cut off the 3 causes, without any causes, the madness disappears. When it ceases, that is Buddhi, which is not obtained from others. This makes the principle of causes and conditions clear and evident. So everything is due to causes and conditions. Why then does the Tathagata suddenly dismiss causes and conditions? Now Sakyamuni Buddha taught us that we should abandon causes and conditions. But Ananda followed Sakyamuni Buddha because of causes and conditions, and now I attain enlightenment. So Sakyamuni Buddha, where is the meaning? Why should younger learners like us, why does this apply only to younger learners among the Sravakas? Because in this very assembly, Mahamaugalyayana, Sariputta, Subhuti, Mahamaugalyayana is the first in transcendent power, Sariputta in wisdom, and Subhuti in understanding emptiness. And others, after hearing the aged Brahmins speaking that the Buddha speaks of causes and conditions, aspire to be enlightened and attain the state of no outflows. Yet now you say that Buddhi, the Tathagata Garbha, and the wondrous luminous true mind does not arise from causes and conditions. Would that not mean that the teachings of the Kosali, who's a heretic, that believes in naturalism, and others in Rajagriha, who speak of naturalism, become the supreme truth? So naturalism and causes and conditions are close. So now, please, we implore your great compassion to dispel our confusion and obscurity. In the past, Sakyamuni Buddha, in his Dharma teaching, spoke about causes and conditions. Like what Ananda just talked about. So, when you sever the three conditions of killing, stealing, and lust, these three causes no longer arise. So, if you don't have any affinities or causes and conditions of killing, stealing, and lust, then you have no causes for these three things. When you have no causes for this, then your heart-mind ceases, stops. Then when the heart-mind ceases, then Buddhi manifests. So Sakyamuni Buddha, in the past, you also talk about the Dharma of causes and conditions. Look at Mahamaugalyayana and Sariputta. They came from the deviant, deviant schools. Mahamaugalyayana was a senior cultivator of the deviant path. And Sariputta too. They had their own territories, and then they brought their own followers to take refuge in So Sakyamuni Buddha gave a teaching of causes and conditions, that everything arises due to causes and conditions, and everything ceases when causes and conditions cease. And due to that, they brought their followers to take refuge in Sakyamuni Buddha. Similarly, for Maudhyagalana, so it is due to causes and conditions, because Sakyamuni Buddha spoke that everything is due to causes and conditions and ceases due to causes and conditions. But now, how come you're not speaking of causes and conditions? And since you don't talk about causes and conditions, then the heretic Kosali in Rajagriha, who speak of naturalism, would become the supreme truth. So Ananda was confused. In the past, you speak of causes and conditions, and now you disregard and abandon causes and conditions. So please explain it again, so we can become enlightened and dispel the confusion from delusion to enlightenment. So we can, and then Sakyamuni Buddha explained another debate or discussion. Sakyamuni Buddha was good at it. Philosophical debate, like a debater. So that's this passage. When the Venerable Ananda heard Sakyamuni Buddha spoke, he rose, bowed at the Buddha's feet, and addressed the Buddha. Like Sariputra, with the first and foremost wisdom, Mahamaudyayana, with the first and foremost transcendent power, and Subhuti, who was first in understanding emptiness. Ananda was first in hearing the Dharma, and Purna was first in teaching the Dharma. So in the past, when you talk about the Dharma of causes and conditions, they aspired to be enlightened. And learn Sravakahood and attain the state of no outflows. And then now you dispel or disregard the Dharma of causes and conditions. So what is going on? That's the question raised by Ananda. So that's why sometimes you it's not that you annihilate your previous teaching, but it's just the steps of the teaching, the steps needed. Now let's share some jokes. On the New Year, I got engaged to my girlfriend, and according to the tradition of the hometown, we had to go to the graveyard to pay respect. And I slipped, and I fell into the ditch of the grave the next grave. So the girlfriend was shocked and rushed to to pray to that tomb. Oh, Grandma, please don't fight for my boyfriend.
这个好笑。
Is that funny? Was that funny? 这个小明的妹妹跟小明讲， 小明 's younger sister told 小明，
履历表，你可以教我怎么写吗？小明就问了，你的优点是什么？他妹妹回答，我没有优点。
Can you
但是我的
teach me
兽性强，具有全方位培养
resume? Oh, the resume. What are your strengths? I have none.
这个他的妹妹回答，没基础，什么都不会。
I don't know anything. I have
你的
no
学习能力
foundations.
有极大的进步空间。
You can learn fast and have great potential.
聊八卦，
I like to be lazy and gossip.
喜爱摆烂。小明又跟他讲，你胆大心细，且非常善于沟通。小明的妹妹
You're very
脾气不好，经常骂人。
very
小明回答，这
brave.
就是为人坦率，性格真爽。好像这也没有什么好笑。
This is not very funny either.
不好笑的。
It's not very funny.
这几个好像都不怎么好笑。
That is few, not that
师
funny.
父临终以前，我守在他的病榻边。
Before my
师父
guru
握着我的手，
died, I
当时我说，
accompanied
师
him
父
on his
还有什么
deathbed,
心念未了，我一定帮你完成。
and I asked my teacher,
师父
my
讲，
guru,
我要
what
一统
do you have? Do you have any wish that you like
师父
me
说
to
完就断气。
accomplish? I like a bucket of
我
glue.
来到师父
And then he
跟前，
died.
上香
So
拜，
3 months later, I went to his
一统相符，
tomb. This is play of word of
统
Chinese
相
too.
符，一统相符。这好像相符。
That he wanted like to unify the world, but instead it sounded like a bucket of glue. I
在
remembered
床上，
I visited my guru. He was lying on his deathbed,
在呼吸，
using a
靠着氧
breathing
气在呼吸，
the oxygen mask,
声音很响。
and his breathing was loud.
跟师母进去看他，
He just let myself and Simu come in to see him and not allowed anybody else.
临终前3天，我去看，
That was 3 days before he passed.
然后他带走那个氧气，我们跟师父讲说，师
And
父，
then
你可以
with that
留下来
oxygen mask, we told the guru,
摇摇手说，
you can stay. And he shook his head, no.
也没讲什么话，就还
And he didn't say
还帮
much.
我们2个人加持，
And then
手伸出来，
he extended his arm and gave us
在你头上，
blessings with trembling
我
hand.
跟师母 走到那个医院的电梯门口。
So when Sumo and I went to the front of the elevator
我们还要
in the
回去
hospital,
因为很快就会应该要再回来看他。
should we go home or we should visit him again? Because I think he's close. And sure enough, 3 days later, he left.
后来我们再回去看他。
And then we went back to see him again.
人生就这样子。
That's how human life is. It's very short.
才75岁。
He was 75. Only 75.
最短的应该是卡马巴。
The shortest lifespan was Karmapa. He was in his 50s.
Chicago 旁边的
He passed in the cancer hospital near Chicago, Sinai Hospital, back then.
人生很快，一下子就没了。
Life passes very fast.
夫妻2个人吃饭的时候，
It's gone in the blink of an
现
eye.
在怎么尽
When a
挑
couple
鱼背
went
上的肉质？
out for dinner,
记得我们谈恋爱时，你
the
最
wife
爱
asked,
吃鱼头跟鱼尾。
how come now you eat
这个先生就讲，
delicate food? I remember when we were dating, you loved to eat fish head and fish
现在我的目标
tail.
是吃鱼，
And the
当时的
husband
目标是
said
钓鱼。
that my goal is different now. Now my goal is to eat the fish, but at that time
现在是吃中间，
I was
鱼头
fishing
鱼尾给太太吃。
because he used to eat just the fish head and fish tail and keep all the meat for the girlfriend. But now for the wife, he gives the fish head and tail and he eats the meat.
小明对老婆讲
Xiaoming told his wife, when I
你可以
die,
把我的骨灰做成骰子，这样你有什么问题的时候，
you can make my bone
那就是
to be
你的
dice.
鬼点子。
So when you have any questions, you can just throw me and I would give you ghostly advice.
女朋友问男朋友：“如果我们结婚，你会戒烟吗？”
The girlfriend asked the boyfriend, if we get married, will you stop smoking?
还有，你会戒酒吗？
And then the girl asked again, will you stop drinking?
你的
And the man said, yeah.
晚上也不去 club 吗？
And the girlfriend asked again, so you will stop going to nightclubs? And the man said,
你就
yes.
问，那还有什么要放弃的吗？
Anything else you want to abandon? And the man
结婚的念
replies,
头
I think getting married. I want to abandon the idea of getting married.
就戒
Stop
酒又晚上
smoking,
不能
stop
出门
drinking, stop going out at night. Then why do you want to live on?
这是以前讲过的笑话。
This is jokes that's been told before.
跟唐三藏借
The
酒
Monkey King is trying to borrow money from the monk Tang San Zhang.
这种事
Can you loan me some
我会
money?
跟我的老婆商量。
And the monk replied, oh, I have to discuss it with my wife.
你不
And
是
the
没有
monkey
老
king said,
婆吗？
but you have no
唐
wife.
三藏讲，
So the monk replied, that's right.
就没得商
So that's why there's nothing to discuss.
我 money pay me home。
Oh, money penny home.